So President Biden is trying to start World War III as we speak, before he leaves office, it seems, or at least the deep state puppets are actively trying to do this behind the scenes. Congress is now calling for impeachment under the 25th Amendment, hearing from a number of representatives calling for this right now. And Europe is bracing for nuclear war this afternoon. A few hours ago, of course, President Trump pledged to end the war between Russia and Ukraine, called for an immediate cessation of violence. And then within a few short hours after that, President Biden and NATO decided to launch long-range weapons inside of Russia for the very first time. And here was the front page of the New York Post. Ukraine reportedly using long-range missiles, first time to blow up Russian weapons facility as Putin issues a nuke warning to America. Here was the Wall Street Journal. Ukraine uses U.S.-provided long-range missiles in Russia for the first time. And it was almost immediate, like right after President Biden gave the green light to do this, Zelensky and NATO, with the coordination of NATO. Make no mistake, this is not just Ukraine doing this. This is NATO coordination and this attack. And now we have, of course, the move to bring President Biden and remove him from office. That's right, using Article 25, or the 25th Amendment, and impeach President Biden. The congressman who's drafting that legislation right now, the articles of impeachment, is Congressman Keith Self from Texas, and he joins us now from Capitol Hill. Congressman, good to see you. Welcome to Redacted. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me on this important issue.
Congressman, what prompted you to jump into this and to say we're going to draft articles of impeachment? This is a violation of the Constitution.
Well, I have drafted articles of impeachment. I've sent them to the lead shop. We have language back. But what I'm asking for before I drop these articles is I'm asking for a briefing, because we don't know what the president authorized. We don't know if he put any parameters on it. We don't know if he put any exceptions on it. So that's what I've asked for. And I have energized them with these draft impeachment articles. So I'm looking for them to tell me and to tell the American people, what did you approve? Because you're exactly right. We have outsourced our military decisions to Ukraine. They're not an ally. Yes, we have the agreement from 2014, but this could be an impeachable offense depending on what he said, what he authorized, and what Ukraine is doing.
And of course, Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, the authoritarian leader of Ukraine right now, who of course canceled elections, was very fast today to speak out on this and to say, look, we've got a lot more of these weapons. We are ready to use them, sort of gloating really about these U.S.-made weapons and saying, threatening Russia, we're about to use more of these. So it is interesting. What did the Biden administration, what authorization did they give him? An unrelenting use of these missiles, or just the 6 that they fired last night?
Well, they have a whole lot more than 6, I guarantee you. But we need to know what he approved. And listen, the reason I am concerned about this is because I spent a whole year on a strategic nuclear watch in the European Command back during the Cold War. I studied the packages that would kill millions of people across the Soviet Union, and they were capable of doing that to us. We do not need to be outsourcing our decisions against a nuclear adversary, which Russia is. Now, I've got it. They don't have nearly our GDP, but they do have a nuclear force. And that's what concerns me. I don't think the people on the Hill are taking this nearly seriously enough. This could be a Cuban Missile Crisis moment, and that's what concerns me. That's why we've got to get to the bottom of exactly what the president authorized, and I am calling for a briefing. I apologize for the noise in the background. I'm in my Capitol office. They're calling us for votes very shortly. Thank you.
And I absolutely. I know you have to run down to the floor in just moments. Do you think that Speaker Johnson will bring these articles of impeachment to the floor for a vote?
Well, I am waiting to drop them until I get this briefing, because I don't know enough now. This could indeed be an impeachable offense, but frankly, I don't know yet. That's why I'm asking for it. That's why I've drafted the articles, because I want to push them to tell the American people exactly what he did. Because again, I don't want to outsource our potential nuclear war decisions to Ukraine. And remember, President Biden is the only man that has the football next to him, and you have minutes to decide if Russia decides to launch an attack, not hours, minutes to decide if you're going to respond. This is very concerning to me.
Very concerning to all of us watching right now. We are a vehemently anti-war show here at Redacted. And the fact that the President of the United States, after President Trump wins the election, and 24 hours ago calls for an immediate cessation of hostilities in Ukraine, stopping this where it is right now, we want peace. And then a few short hours later, the lame duck President of the United States sanctions an attack inside of Russia. I mean, it seems almost like it rises to the level of treason.
Well, we don't want to make a miscalculation here. I think he's already made one by authorizing this. But miscalculations, when we're talking about nuclear war, are very serious. The consequences could be disastrous. And that's why I am so concerned, because everyone has an opinion about this. But frankly, Ukraine and Russia are the two at war. Once you release the dogs of war, you don't know where they're going. You don't know what Putin is thinking. And I was always taught in the military, in my 25-year career, you don't go with what their intentions or what they say. What are their capabilities? And if we make a serious miscalculation here, Ukraine drags us into World War III. Catastrophic. That's very catastrophic. We have 338 million Americans potentially in harm's way.
What is Europe saying about this? What would Europe's position? I mean, they seem to be they would be attacked first. And you have support from Germany, from France, from the UK. It seems like it's like a world gone mad right now, Congressman.
Well, frankly, we are hearing unconfirmed reports that both the UK and France are going to authorize their Storm Shadow missiles to be used by Ukraine. Very analogous to our ATACMS, our long-range missiles. So again, if Europe is leading us into World War III, we don't want to outsource that decision. We want to keep it to ourselves, which is why we must know what the president agreed to.
We'll get you out of here on this, Congressman, so you can get down to the floor for these votes. This would mean Kamala Harris, President of the United States. How does that sit with you?
Oh, it doesn't sit well at all. We do not want Kamala Harris, but I want the administration to admit what they did, and I want the House to take action because we need to be stronger. There's got to be an adult in the room on this conversation. And frankly, right now, I think it's got to be the House. It's not whoever's running the government. So I'm simply pushing people to be the adults in the room to say, this is not the direction we want to go.
All right. Congressman Keith Self, who serves on the Veterans Affairs and Foreign Affairs committees, bringing articles of impeachment, written them, just waiting for those to drop once we find out exactly what the president has authorized here. Congressman, thank you so much. Good luck with this. We appreciate you taking some time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your attention to it. Thank you,
Congressman. Unbelievable. And if you think about this for a moment, we don't know what, I mean, it's really remarkable what the congressman said. We don't know what he's exactly authorized here because you have to go through Congress.
Right.
And you're dragging us into World War III without the authorization of Congress. It's stunning.
Well, because Congress no longer declares war, the president no longer declares war. The White House has not actually confirmed this. Zelensky himself said these are just media reports. It's the New York Times that published this with unnamed sources. He's absolutely right. We have nothing to go on other than the fact that bombs were fired, that we made and sent, that at the very beginning of this war, our president promised would not happen. That's all we really know.
Right. I mean, if you look at, here's what we do know, right? Let's take a look at the threat escalation ladder right now. So we start out with diplomatic pressure, right? But if this diplomatic pressure started phonily enough back in 2014 when the CIA placed a coup inside of Ukraine and tried to force their hand, right? That's how this all started. Although Jeffrey Sachs thinks it, started way back in like 1990. But if we want to just do modern history, 2014 is where this started with the CIA-backed coup in Ukraine. And the ethnic Russians that were living in the Donbass and Donetsk and those areas said, no, we don't want a United States government in Ukraine. And then, of course, the genocide unfolded. The attacks of those ethnic Russians in the Donbass, Donetsk, and all of those areas, right? Continual bombardment for 9 years. but no one paid attention to it, right? But Putin was, and Russia's ethnic Russians were asking for their help. Then economic sanctions, right? The United States places economic sanctions under Obama. Then covert operations unfold, the CIA in those areas. Then limited military action. Then regional conflict. Then full-scale war. And now what's next? That's where we are at the bottom of the tar pit. There is nuclear war.
Descended into the depths of Hades.
It's an absolutely hellish moment. Zelensky just moments ago, as I mentioned to the congressman, gloating about these new weapons, threatening Russia. We now have the long-range Neptune missile, and not just one, and now we have ATACMS, and we will use all of this, he said.
Вибачте, без зайвих деталей. У України є далекобійні можливості, у України є далекобійні дрони свого власного виробництва. У нас тепер є довгий Нептун, і не один. І тепер у нас є ATACMS. І ми все це будемо.
Oh, good. So we've got lots of them. And as the congressman said, he has way more than 6 of them to use. Putin, of course, responded a few weeks ago when asked, what would this mean for NATO and Russia relationship if the United States, NATO, launches long-range weapons into Russia?
Это означает, что страны НАТО, США, европейские страны воюют с Россией.
Yeah, plain and simple. It's as cut and dry as possible.
Have you considered that possibly we may have saved ourselves by voting in Trump, because Putin knows that the administration that's authorizing this is on its way out, and that he'd say, well, we deflected these, we can fight them off for a little bit longer, and then we trust the next administration to stop it. But if we had ushered in the next Biden-Harris administration, he would know that this is going to keep going, and then he would escalate like that. Have you considered that?
I have considered that. I mean, I saw someone in the chat just a second ago saying Trump can't get in there soon enough.
Right.
Go ahead, Philip.
Well, I was gonna say, but that works. The de-escalation only works if they can actually take each of them out of the air. Once one of them lands, if one of these missiles lands in a urban center, then
all bets are off. Yeah.
If they some sort of an Iron Dome. We saw, of course, these 6 that were fired. 5 of them were shot down. 1 of them landed. It struck next to a military facility, I think so. Colonel McGregor is going to be joining us here in a little bit and give us some more insight into exactly how this unfolded. So, yeah, fortunately, there was no casualties in this. But this doesn't mean, of course, right now that Europe's not on high alert. So you have Sweden, Finland are all warning residents right now, get ready for war. The situation is serious.
And recall that Ukraine is not trained to use these weapons. They said so themselves many times. We've seen reports of how it goes when they go to NATO countries to receive training. They can't even read the manuals because they're in English. So not only should we pray that it hits no civilians on either side, but that the people using them, we pray that they don't use them, but at least we know they're not trained for this. They can hurt themselves as well.
Yeah, and I only hope that President Trump comes out with a big speech and demands that this stop right now. And, because who else is going to look presidential? We're not going to hear from President Biden in an Oval Office address tonight. Do you think we're going to hear from Biden?
No, he's wandering around the Amazon right now.
Right.
He's literally lost in Brazil.
So this is unbelievable. Everyone, Mo, must have received their CIA talking points this morning. Looks like the CIA sent out their memo for everyone to say the exact same thing. So you wonder where these deep state puppets are operating from. Everyone. I mean, they were almost like copy and pasted this stuff. So this is literally, here's Guy Verhofstadt. For 1,000 days, Ukraine has stood alone against Russia's imperialism, against Putin's mass murder, rape, child abductions. The brave Ukrainians fight on despite the West's feeble support. Stand with Ukraine. But all of them. Take a look. Here's another tweet. Adam Schiff. Today marks the 1,000th day of the war in Ukraine. 1,000 days of unimaginable, unconscionable suffering brought by a murderous dictator. Like they're all on the same page.
Zelensky?
They've all received the exact same talking points from the CIA. Ursula von der Leyen. In 2022, Russia thought its full-scale invasion would end in days. 1,000 days later, Ukraine bravely resists on the battlefield. And then this one's Emmanuel Macron says the exact same thing, but in French. Like, isn't that remarkable? They're all on the same page. They all got the memo from whatever deep state puppets are telling them what to say. It's really frightening, absolutely frightening. By the way, Polymarket, which absolutely predicted the presidential election.
Yes, they did.
So they came out today with, will a nuclear weapon detonate in 2024? And so by December 30th, 2024, now it's up. It's up 4% in the past few hours. So Polymarket, they raided the CEO's house. Did Polymarket. So anyway, we've got Colonel. So they I guess they don't like what he's up to at Polymarket. Anyway, we've got Colonel McGregor is going to join us here to get some sense of what's happening right now on the military side of all of this, and can the United States even, if they want to go to war with Russia, could we? We're going to ask Colonel McGregor that in just moments. But first, today's show is brought to you by Native Path Collagen. Now, finding an honest doctor that isn't following in the footsteps of Big Pharma can feel impossible. That's why millions of men and women have turned to one Texas doctor, and the 7 reasons that he says anyone over the age of 50 should be drinking this one thing. That's right. It's not milk or another calcium-rich drink. Instead, it's a unique protein that naturally declines with age, and it's proven to significantly increase bone strength and soothe joint pain. Oh, we all need that. It minimizes wrinkles and cellulite. It even enhances hair follicle thickness and even reverses nail damage, with users reporting results in as little as 2 weeks. That's right. As a partner of the show, this Texas doctor is offering Redacted listeners up to 45% off his bone, joint, and ligament restoring formula. It's all you need to do is go to this URL right on your screen, getnativepathcollagen.com/redacted. It has thousands of 5-star reviews, over 4 million jars sold. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it today. And Redacted listeners can visit right now, getnativepathcollagen.com/redacted to get up to 45% off while supplies last. Some huge news on the Trump hush money. All these Trump is going to be sentenced. Trump is going to be,
he's a convicted felon.
He's a convicted felon.
Right.
Is he going to be sentenced? What's going to happen here? Huge update today.
Well, Alvin Bragg, who's the prosecutor who's went after him on this case, he's saying that he agrees to delay the sentencing of President Trump. But in his court filings, he says he absolutely does not want this case dismissed because the president's team filed a motion to dismiss. He says he will keep fighting it, but if you want to delay the sentencing, which was supposed to be next week, he's fine with that, and he's okay with it continuing to be delayed for now. Now, that doesn't mean the case may not be dismissed, because the Trump team has filed a motion to dismiss based on presidential immunity, and Judge Marchand is still considering that. He may read that document and say, yeah, I want out of this. I don't want to fight the president of the United States, and there's no way we can finish this by January 20th, stamped, done, off his desk. That's possible. What bothers me about this case is that presidential immunity, in my opinion, is the weakest argument, because it has to do with the journal entry that happened before he became president. I think the fact that they never named the crime that they were charging him with means that they violated his Sixth Amendment. I think that's absolutely clear if you followed this case. He had his Sixth Amendment, which is a right to a speedy trial and a right to know the crimes you're being charged with. He didn't even know up until the jury deliberation what the actual crimes were. And that bothers me. Also, there was strong evidence of selective prosecution, because Hillary Clinton was never charged for paying for the Steele dossier and putting the same type of journal entry in her campaign finances. So those two things are the things that I wish the case would be dismissed on. But instead, he's arguing presidential immunity, because that worries me. That means the rest of us would have to run for president if these things happen to us, right? Because that would be the way he gets out of this obvious political trial. When the jury came in fact, Yale law professor and constitutional scholar Jed Rubenfeld put it this way. Watch.
Because going after criminally a former president of the United States and somebody who is running for president now, that's a very bad look for this country. It's an especially bad look when the folks bringing the case and the judge deciding it are members of the opposing political party. And it's an even worse look when the crime is so unclear that the state is hiding the ball about what the actual charges are right up through the trial and indeed into the trial. And even now, we don't know exactly what the jury found Trump guilty of. If you're going to go after a former president and somebody who's running for president now, the poll leading candidate, if you're a member of the other party and you're going to do that, you better have the goods. You better not be pursuing some novel legal theory where you have to hide the ball. It's not even clear what the charges are. That could be a very dangerous precedent for this country, a very bad and dangerous precedent.
Okay, so we don't know if Judge Marchand is going to grant this motion to dismiss. I have a feeling he probably will. And again, the thing that bothers me the most is that his civil rights were violated, but he would get out of the case based on presidential immunity rather than the civil rights. And that leaves the rest of us vulnerable. So we'll have to see. We don't know at this point, but at least we know what the appetite for a fight is that Alvin Bragg still has. And I would say it's probably, if it were like a video game, scale, I would say it's like here. He's probably here. He was once here. And now he's here.
Well, Matt Gaetz could be here soon as Attorney General of the United States. We shall see. A woman, though, claims that she saw Florida Representative Matt Gaetz having sex with a 17-year-old minor at a drug-filled party in 2017. Now, the woman's lawyer says that she testified to the House Ethics Committee. So this is now on the record with the House Ethics Committee. This is relevant as Gaetz will face opposition to his nomination, of course, as Attorney General under President Trump. Now, Gaetz has repeatedly said that he was set up by the feds. He even did an interview with Tucker and he talked about it and denied these allegations. In fact, a man is in prison now, right now, for trying to extort Gaetz' father, for $25 million in exchange for a guaranteed pardon. And when he talked about that on Tucker's show, Tucker's jaw dropped. He was like, what? And sure enough, the guy is in prison as a result of it because of this relationship to the ongoing lawfare against Gaetz. So Gaetz was investigated and never charged in this. He was investigated and never charged. So they're going to bring this all back up again?
Well, you would think, Clayton, that the FBI, having investigated something that they really wanted to charge, would have charged if they wanted to.
Right. You would think.
That's what I would
Especially
think.
The appetite to go after him.
Yeah.
Right?
So, we don't know, right? Because we haven't seen all of the inside documents, but you would think.
Yeah. David, you want to say something? No. Oh. I just heard him moaning in the background.
What are you doing?
He's doing yoga. Anyway,
Sorry,
the House investigation. The House investigation began in June, and a report was scheduled to be released this week. But now that Gaetz has resigned from Congress in order to become Attorney General, he resigned immediately after his AG nomination. That report may not be released. The committee will meet on Wednesday to discuss its release and possibly asking Congress to vote on releasing it to the public. Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson last week said the panel should not release this report. I would like to see it. I want transparency. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. Like, let's see the report. Right? We shouldn't go into our corners. Right. Go into your political corners and be like, oh, no, because now it's a Republican, we shouldn't see the report. But for Trump or anybody else or, a Democrat, we should see you should see the reports.
There have been things that Matt Gaetz has done that has made me keen to see him in a position of power, such as putting on the floor a vote to withdraw troops from Syria and Somalia. I want those things. He's been the only person to speak out about that.
And Yemen.
Right. Is that true? I didn't.
Yeah, he wants us. He does not want us in Yemen, in Syria, and Somalia.
But anyhow, but yes, we absolutely should want to see if he's a scoundrel in other ways, or has abused his position, or has abused young girls. We should want to see that. But this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said today. If we're going to start doing this, it cannot be partisan because there have been investigations and other people. So she says, hey, for my Republican colleagues, if we're going to release ethics reports and rip apart our own, then put it all out there for the American people to see. Yes, all the ethics reports and claims, including the one I filed, all your sexual harassment and assault claims that were secretly settled, paying off victims and with taxpayer money. The entire Jeffrey Epstein files. Now you're talking, girl. Tapes, recordings, witness interviews, but not just those. There's more. Epstein wasn't and isn't the only asset. If we're going to dance, let's all dance in the sunlight. I'll make sure we do. To which I say yes. Do all of that. I want to see all of that.
I love it.
Yep.
Yes, into the sunlight, full transparency. Let's do it. Cyber criminals targeting people and businesses by exploiting vulnerabilities in everyday tools that we use, like email, social media messengers, free cloud storage, as well as weak passwords. In fact, in the last couple of months, there have been two major breaches that probably affected you. There was the breach at AT&T, which exposed all of those text message logs, and it affected every AT&T customer. Also, what about the National Public Data breach for Social Security numbers? Yeah, the Social Security Administration admitted that. So that's where the people at Bunker are helping you. It's an affordable, all-in-one app protecting you against identity theft, cybercrime, and surveillance. And guess what? You can get your Bunker application for $12 annually. That's right. Why pay several different apps when you can get yourself for $12 annually protected with Bunker? Right now, you can use the code Redacted to get your first year for free. Just go to bunker.life and use the code Redacted. You can download it on the iOS App Store or on the Google Play Store, and you get, just by using that code Redacted, you get your first year for free. So our thanks to them for supporting the show.
All right, well, here's another way that liberals are planning not to cooperate with the next Trump administration, a shopping strike. So we already have the sex strike, we have the shave your head strike, to which actually I want to point out that people who are suffering from terminal illnesses are not taking this well. I've seen some trends online where people who have some kind of illness that makes it so they can't grow their hair, or cancer or what have you, are saying, wait, you're trying to make yourself look ugly by shaving your head? That makes the rest of us feel awful. Talk about insensitive protest. Well, here's what they're doing now, the shopping strike. So here is a user with a liberal user who screams a lot of liberal things on X. I'm going to show you their avatar and you can look it up yourself. He's saying, look, Trump will not have a good economy because we won't let him. I myself plan on paying my bills and saving every penny beyond that. I will not contribute to this economy in any other way. I'll buy some clothes before he takes office, make sure I have everything I need for the next 4 years. I will not be eating out unless it is an emergency that cannot be avoided. I've already cut my cable long ago, but I will not support mainstream media on any app, no cable news of any kind. So I guess his plan is all frozen food because you can't have anything fresh, right? It's literally don't spend a dime because I want the economy to tank, which I guess is okay considering this person probably has some kind of desk job that they will keep, right? But he doesn't care if he puts, let's say, grocery workers out of business, or, I don't know, gas stations.
It's the tolerant left. It's
right.
The tolerant
they absolutely left, right? Don't care. He says, right, this is how we fight back. So if we're keeping track, again, no sex, no growing your hair, and no shopping of any kind. He even said, like, your family and friends are going to have to get no Christmas presents, no birthday presents, nothing. If you're going out for a birthday dinner to Chevy's, I'm not coming. Right? This party of joy is they're really showing us. They're showing us what joy looks like. Pretty soon it'll be no electricity, no internet. We're going to not do any of that. They're going to become Amish. And then after like a year or so of being Amish, they're going to be like, wait a second. We're going to, we're really in alignment here. I think we're going to vote for Republicans. They'll become Amish Trump voters. Become Trump voters.
Can we just start mailing the Redacted show to all of the viewers? We'll just send it in the mail every day. Just drop a letter for you, and you can open it up and read our show. On a VCR. Yeah, on a VHS tape. We'll just send it out. Or a DVD, we'll just send it out. I mean, I did try and think through this today because we went to Costco and I was like, okay, how much could I buy for 4 years for my family of 5? And then it's also laundry detergent. It's also dishwasher soap. It's body lotion. I think they also said liberals are stocking up on Plan B. I don't understand how that works. If you're on a sex strike, what do you need Plan B for? But you're still stocking up on that. Right, toilet paper. And if you get a hole in your underwear, you're going to have to sew that yourself. You can't go replace it. And so, okay, you do that. Go ahead and do that. Oh, my God. Sure. These people. All right. You could also just move to another economy and then live the life you want there. Like, you could just go. Yeah, you could go to Canada. I'm cool with that. You could go up to Canada right now. I'm sure our Canadian friends would be happy about that. David Creighton up in Ottawa, he'd be like, no, please, please keep all these liberals out. We don't want to see them up here. I absolutely want to see that person live stream it, though. Like your daily life that you're eating frozen bananas and things like that. And then what if there's a hurricane and your freezer goes out? Then you're super effed. Yeah. So, okay. And by the way, you brought up a great point. This is not a good cause to do this. What we were talking about earlier, it's like, so now, wait, all of these liberals, because Trump won, they're suddenly going to become preppers?
like they're going to become doomsday preppers, which is something that they, of course, maligned repeatedly. They like to mock all of us who like to prep and prepare for our make sure our families are protected, whether we've got medicines in our cabinet, we've got food supplies, you've got ammunition to protect your family. Right. Now suddenly they're doing it and it's okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's right. Phil says the Amish gave the Trump over 100.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You can read it. Just gonna say. Preppers are crazy, Clayton. Preppers are crazy. This is a protest. It's totally different.
This is
now
not
it's different.
crazy. This is the opposite of crazy.